Karen, that's a very interesting top that you have on there. I didn't get a real good look. Is it some kind of a Japanese thing or what?
I don't know. It kind of has that look to me. Yeah. I just like this sort of thing. And of course, orange works at this time of year. So, thank you.
We are good to go.
We are good to go. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We will call the meeting to order. It is 5:30 p.m. And nice to see all of you again after a long summer break.
Great.
Yes, it was a big one. So proceeding with the agenda, approval of the agenda, asking that the agenda for the Prescott Heritage Committee meeting of today, Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, be approved as presented. Trevor, seconded. Anthony, thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. Any declarations of interest? No. Good. Okay. Looking at the minutes of the meeting held a long time ago now, May 22nd, 2025. A motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. I have a recommendation that reads that the Prescott Heritage Committee minutes dated May 22nd, 2025 be accepted as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Mover Tracy, seconder Trevor. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Motion is carried. Zipping right along to our first agenda item, a heritage designation update for 490 Center Street and 425 Center Street. Here's the good news portion of our meeting. Over to you, Chloe.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee. As the committee will recall many months back, there was a review done and a recommendation made to council to proceed with the designation of the two churches on Center Street, the one at 490 and the one at 425. I can advise that the bylaws were passed at council. The NOIDs issued previous to that were received with great excitement from both churches. And have been registered on the property titles to both of the churches and have been provided to the Ontario Heritage Trust. And so those two are completely designated and are being added to the municipal website as designated properties, and they are registered now with the province as municipally designated properties in our town. So those two are completed, and we have updated the list to reflect that they have been designated.
Great.
All good?
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you. Okay. And next update, 5.2, is for 305 Center, 388 Center, and 408 East Street. Chloe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you will recall, we had three properties, two of which were slightly under contention from members of the public with regards to the recommendation that this committee made to council. Council heard the recommendation to proceed with a notice of intention to designate on June 16th at their regular council meeting, following which NOIDs were issued or notices were issued and provided to the landowners, the trust, and were published in local papers. Under legislation, there is a 30-day appeal period for landowners or any interested party to appeal the intention of the committee and provide rationale. For 388 and for 388 Center and 408 East, we have received appeals. Following which, we sought out legal advice on the best way to proceed with these appeals. And at that time, we were referenced and recommended to seek out the advice of a heritage professional consultant to review the merits of the designation and to provide a recommendation. And during that course of time, it did take a bit of time to get connected through legal and through the professional consultants. A number of things were brought forward as recommendations, one of which being the toolkit and the assessment evaluation metrics or matrix that we utilize here in the committee to make our assessments. And it was brought forward that there are ways that we could benefit from advancement and looking to ensure that we're creating the best materials to bring forward to council. And so as such, and as the committee will recall, there is training money set aside. And so the consultant has offered to come in and conduct a training with this committee and any neighboring municipalities or towns who wish to come for training about the best ways to conduct evaluations. And so given the recommendations that they made, we will be going to council on Monday with a recommendation to rescind the notices that were issued in June. And then we will return with the updated versions of the same for council to reissue at a future date once we're able to work with these consultants to help us bring ourselves up into the newest and best form of the documents that we're producing. As we know, they can go all the way to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And so if we're going to be preparing documents where we may or may not have appeals, it's in our best interest to go about a process that has the best materials. So it was their recommendation for us to proceed with to rescind the 2 notices for which there are appeals, and to have council instruct this committee to reevaluate them based on the new and updated materials that will be provided by the consultants.
Do you want to fill us in as well on 305 Center? You've got that in the same
I
category.
apologize. 305 Center, we received no appeal on, so it will be proceeding with the bylaw and going through the process. The homeowner is very excited to have it designated, and so we're happy to work with them to make sure that it can be completed.
Terrific. Thanks, Chloe.
You're welcome.
Can we have some discussion of this? What are your thoughts?
Well,
Trevor?
does it make sense to unfortunately rescind all 5 as opposed to just the 2 that were appealed, if we're going to go back to the drawing board and relearn, just in case we are instructed on things we didn't look at the first time?
We do have the opportunity, and I remember Matthew asked us to do this at the last meeting, to potentially in this next year, go back through all of the bylaws that have been issued and improve them. Because many of them are very, very.
But if these ones aren't a bylaw yet, do we have that opportunity to put a pause on it until we can reflect?
Which 5 are we talking about?
The ones that, because there are 2 that were just accepted by the churches, plus the 1 that has not been appealed, and then we have the 2 that were appealed. So that's a batch of 5.
Right. So the 2 that are done with the for the churches have been registered on title, and they're
Bylaws are done then?
They're 305, the 30-day appeal period expired with no appeal being submitted to the town for contention. And so it's 388 and 408 that we have received written appeals from. And it's those 2 properties that we have concern about. At this stage, the appeal rights would then only kick in when we pass the bylaw. So there would be another 30 days once the bylaw is passed. Okay. It would be odd for an appeal to only come at a bylaw stage versus the notice of intention. So we're at this stage, we're not concerned about 305 Center. Okay. I don't want it to be the presumption that our current assessments aren't good. Mm-hmm. It's that we want to improve them to be the best that they can be in a going forward basis.
That's good.
Yeah. Just for a bit of history, for people who are new to the committee, we went through all of the documentation that we had available to us and created the form that we did that we're using. And there have since that time, there's been a new round of documentation that's come out. Number 1. And then number 2, what we did for bylaw designation was we went to neighboring areas, particularly Ottawa, we looked at what they used for taking forward to council to designate. And theirs was extremely involved, 20 pages for a single property. And recognizing that we didn't have access to the sort of information they were citing, we cut it down to what we considered was sort of the best that we could come up with. But it would be wonderful to have someone who's been in this business telling us a better way to do it. Right. It was certainly cobbled together from that perspective. Yeah.
And the firm that we have retained is out of Kingston, and they actually work with the heritage Planning Association that had discussed originally the conference that the committee might look at attending in potentially future years, but they actually work specifically with that association and present very often to them. And they're a firm that has many offices across the province, but their main office is out of Kingston. And so they were very happy to come in and do training. Obviously, they work with large cities, small towns, single tier municipalities, and a variety of different authority structures. And so they were very happy to offer their expertise and look to benefit this committee and perhaps our neighbors as well, which speaks not only to this committee's desire for your own educational advancement and the betterment of the committee, but also to help regionally with our neighbors committees as well.
So if we do want to do this, and it seems we do, then if we want to reach out to neighboring communities, I've suggested to Chloe that we really need to have, and we're holding off doing all of the rest of these reviews until that time. I've suggested to Chloe that we really need to have this happen before the bad weather hits, right? The training. Otherwise, we're stuck until next spring, potentially, for moving forward as a committee, which would suggest the very earliest I can imagine would be sort of the last half of November, to give us just enough time to get out to the neighboring communities, to their heritage committees and see whether they wish to be involved, set up a program, set up food, do all of those things. So Chloe has reached out to the consultant, but the consultant has not yet responded with potential times. So I guess what we will need to do for that one is do an email exchange when the time comes. Does that sound all right? Lee?
This has actually been done before. 2 terms ago, and many other people on this committee, former chair Fraser Lossinger and I, together with another member, actually attended such a meeting in Lynn. And it was actually put on by somebody from Kingston, which may very well be the same firm. And there was many people from the surrounding townships that attended. So I'm sure there would be interest from the surrounding communities.
Yes. I had a Zoom call with the chairs of many of the neighboring communities some months ago that I had organized with the chair of the Brockville committee. So we did a call, and there were a number of people on that call, and they were all really quite involved in heritage and had been doing it for quite some time. So I'm equally sure there would be some interest. Now that gets to things like the cost of the consultant it's fairly significant. What is the cost?
So it's just over $3,400 plus HST to run a half-day training session. That being said, as many attendees as we wish or can fit in a room are welcome to attend. But that is for their expertise, but also their materials that we can then keep and utilize on a going forward basis. Right. It is also, I had a brief discussion with the regional clerks as well, and it may be beneficial to invite members of council as well for communities that don't specifically have established committees or are of general interest, because as we know, this committee makes recommendations to council and council makes the ultimate decision on these matters. So there may be interest from council colleagues regionally as well, not just the committee members and staff. I know myself and many other clerks are interested to ensure that we have the best knowledge going forward to assist the committees and to ensure that we can also be a point of contact to reach out for clarification as well.
Terrific. So the suggestion is we're very fortunate in having a budget available to our committee. And, we had already intended to put some money into training at a regional level. The question then becomes, do we wish to charge out to these neighboring communities? If we do, at what rate are we doing that? We should be deciding that as a committee, what makes the most sense. Did you get any kind of feedback from the regional clerks meeting? Did you mention anything around contributing to a half day like this?
I think that there was the assumption that it would not be at no cost.
Okay.
I don't think that's ever the assumption from our neighbors.
Mhm.
Certainly there would be an expectation, if we're doing a half day, if there's,
A meal.
a refreshment or
Yeah,
meal, that
yeah.
would automatically be in a cost recovery position.
Yes.
And perhaps we go about it in a nominal way and to something like $30 a participant. Or we could look at more, at a
Mhm.
larger, but sometimes when we look at a lower cost point, we're able to have more attendees, for our neighbors that don't have established budgets for these specific things.
Exactly.
A lower cost point can often allow for greater attendance.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Lee?
Sorry.
It's okay.
This committee, as long as I've been associated with it, has always been advised by the Historical Society. And I think it would be of benefit to the Historical Society to be involved in this as well. If they're advising us on each residence, they should be up on the suggested qualifications as well. So I would think probably Fraser would be interested, maybe somebody else from there as well. So I would certainly extend an invitation if I were you.
Good thought. Yeah, good thought.
Is there any other invitations that the committee would seek for us? This specific training, I don't know if it falls in the community outreach that we had originally talked about for the day with individuals like realtors and insurance agents themselves. We could look at hosting something like that in the spring. I think this is more committee and staff focused, but.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, more committee and staff focused. And I think you could get maybe off topic if you bring in other members of the community, like realtors and whatnot.
And we still have a healthy budget to look at doing something like that in the spring as well.
Yes, we do. Okay, so could we, do we want to at this point set a price point, or should we negotiate that based on time of day and what sort of food is being offered?
I think you're probably looking at the general price point for attendance period,
Okay,
regardless of time frame, right?
okay.
How many different communities are we talking about that we'd be inviting? Do we have an idea?
So we have 11 lower tiers in Leeds and Grenville, not all of which have established heritage committees. There's the 3 single tiers in our region, which is us, the city of Brockville, and the town of Gananoque. We might look to our easterly neighbors in SD and G. I believe only the southern single tiers of South Dundas, South Stormont, and South Glengarry have heritage committees, but I can clarify that and reach out to their coordinator for their regional clerks association. They would know who has established committees. I'm not sure if the city of Cornwall would attend. They sometimes attend things along our corridor.
Yeah.
Something like this, they might take advantage of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not something that comes up every year, right? So.
Well, and not every municipality has the benefit of having heritage professionals on staff, the way that the city of Ottawa and the city of Kingston have. They have entire departments dedicated to heritage planning and designations, so.
Yes, so I know when I was talking with Brockville, we did not involve Ottawa or Kingston for that very reason. They're just a entirely different kettle of fish.
Right.
Okay, so what's a good price? What makes sense?
I think you're looking between 30 and 35. I mean, if you get 10 people, you're getting 10% of the cost back. 20, you get 20% back. So that would benefit us to recoup some of the costs.
Yeah.
I think 30 is fair. Like, yeah.
That's the first number that came into mind.
Okay.
Does the committee wish for that to include the refreshments as well?
I think it should.
Yeah, I think it should.
Yeah, especially as you've indicated that people, don't have access to budgets necessarily. Yeah. Okay, in terms of when we do get a response back from the consultant, I had asked for a variety of times. Were they available mid-afternoon to early evening? Were they available evening only? Were they available on a Saturday morning? You know, what were the options? From your perspective, what's do you think would be right? And what is even possible for you?
Anything is possible for me with notice.
Okay,
It would probably be easiest, I'm not sure where everyone's schedule is, a Saturday would probably be easiest, that way it doesn't conflict with this Monday to Friday type work life, but again, with notice, I can work around that myself.
okay,
Same with me, yeah, with notice I can work around, but yeah, I think probably an evening or a weekend would be best to have the most participation, I think.
okay. Tracy, how about you?
I can work around with notice as well. I think if we were looking for staff participation, that may be better during a Monday to Friday. You know, I guess it depends what kind of replies we get, but
If you're looking for the best balance of staff and committee members, you might look at like the early afternoon that straddles the early evening. Because sometimes then it's only staff flexing their time for a day versus coming in on a weekend. Although if our desire is to have committee members, then the committee members' time, and they often have commitments during the week and to their 9 to 5 jobs, which we recognize, and it's why most of our committees happen in the after hours, as do many of our neighbors. So I think you may see clerks attend with their committee members, but I don't know about other staff members. However, I can provide the times back from the consultant when they do arrive. I do apologize. They were in a session today.
And we're saying it's a half day session, sort of like it's a 4-hour block.
4 hours. Yeah.
Even if you did like from 2 to 6.
Yeah, that time frame would be pretty acceptable, actually. I can easily work around that.
And you're looking at less obligation for larger quantity refreshments as well,
Yes,
as opposed to serving a full meal if you straddled,
the dinner hour.
exactly,
Yeah.
or a breakfast hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 to 6 sounds good, yeah.
Okay, we'll look for that. 2 to 6 on a weekday. And they provide materials, as you said, and so they provide the copies of everything we need, et cetera, et cetera.
I
Okay,
believe we'll receive them from what I've discussed with the consultant, both electronically and in hard copy, but electronically so that they can be reused and reproduced
super.
as we need them. What I did specifically ask as well for the training was sample, not only the evaluation sheets, but also sample templates for things like the schedules in our bylaws, the notices that would go out to the public. We did learn with the 2 church properties that the land registry office does not like photographs in the bylaws, even though it's recommended throughout the whole process to include photographs as the visual representation for the public as you go through. But as soon as it gets to the land registry office, they say, no, please remove the photos. We don't want that registered on title. So to remove the pictures when it gets to the province. Yes, we did make that decision to pursue continuity and say, that's okay. You may remove them and submit.
All right. All right. Any further discussion on that one? No. So we'll just await response from the consultant and we'll do a poll from there. Okay. In new business, there are actually a couple of things, and I did not suggest amending the agenda, but let's look at a couple of things. One is, I need to let you know, Anthony, you aren't aware of this. Debbie Davis has resigned
Okay.
from the committee, which is unfortunate. So we have quorum. Scott will be back at the next meeting. He's just away right now. But there's always a concern about, do we have enough people on this committee, and should we be looking at trying for further recruitment efforts? So I'm wanted to open any discussion around that, if you have any ideas about how that might best work for us. But I also wanted to, I think we need to talk about and do something about longevity on the committee. Because it does tend to be a bit of a revolving door. You know, there have been a lot of people who have come, gone, even over the short time that I've been with the committee. So opening the conversation to any thoughts you might have, and not to put you on the spot, but you know, you guys are new on the, all three of you are new on the committee. If there's anything that you're perceiving that could be improved, changed, modified to make this work more smoothly and to hopefully entice more people to join and be a key part of it with us. Would love to hear perspectives.
In terms of just it being like a revolving door a little bit, has there been any like a general feedback on why maybe people are leaving? Like, have they left any feedback?
Generally, and I do probe when I get a notice, a note of resignation. I do probe a bit, and generally people are just responding with personal and family,
Okay.
you know, concerns, which is a blanket kind of statement that can cover all kinds of things. So not suggesting that's not accurate, but it doesn't give us a lot of more information.
Well, the committee definitely isn't one that requires a lot of your time.
No.
We've only met maybe a handful of times this year.
Yes.
So it can't be that it's consuming.
No, I don't think so.
Free time.
Yeah.
That we've lost definitely 2 this year, right? Since we've been on the committee, I think, right? So there's definitely room to add those 2 more.
Yes.
Now, when I first joined on, I remember watching your videos on the town site. It'd be great to re-release those, maybe something more publicly again, to try to get some public interaction again.
Okay.
It worked for me, so it will probably work for others if it's made a highlight again.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Is there a problem that we're not busy enough? Do you think that there's an issue with that? You know, there's a balancing point, right, between being, oh my gosh, I'm overcommitted to this committee, and oh yeah, that. You know, because I mean, for example, we had a very long run, you know, of not meeting in the last number of months. Do you think that causes a problem, or do you think that that's okay?
I think it depends on how busy things get with council when we pass things along to them.
Okay.
Right? If we've done our 5 assessments, it goes then on to them, it's got one to their docket, then part of their meeting. So we can't really put forth too much without overwhelming the next process. So
That's right.
Probably we could have had another meeting in between, because if they met in June, we could have met at some point in there as well to have gotten the next batch prepped. So I don't know, maybe every second or third month, quarterly. I don't know if it's a monthly requirement.
Generally, through the academic year, we do meet. We try to basically meet monthly.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't happen in December, and it doesn't happen in, I think, March. You know, March break time. But the other months we typically do meet. So, and we can carry on with that, and we certainly have plenty that we can be doing as we're working on this, especially if we want to do the community outreach we've been talking about. So we might be perfectly fine. I just wanted to raise it because if there is something, we should talk about it.
No, I think it's a good balance of, because I think too, like you can put in as much as you want to into this committee in terms of thinking on your own about things you want to bring to the committee in terms of, you know, learning opportunities or, you know, different maybe events that you want the committee to do. So I think there's a lot you can kind of think about on your own and bring to the committee. That just the fact that maybe if we don't meet as often as some other committees, there's still a lot you can get involved in terms of your own research and whatnot that you could then bring to the committee. So I think it strikes a good balance.
Okay, good. Good. Chloe?
Through you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
To Trevor's point, perhaps the structure of the agendas looks quarterly in terms of when the assessments or recommendations to council rise. I know we sometimes get the ebbs and flows of council agendas where, to your point, maybe in the off months, you look at some of the community outreach or the general discussions about properties or looking to make plans versus the odd month looking at conducting those assessments, especially once the committee has the benefit of the training from the consultants as well, to really help us proceed along instead of making the plan to do an assessment every meeting. Perhaps you look at every other meeting for the assessment portion.
Yeah, we certainly have plenty to do. I'm thinking of there are sort of 5 things that we need to work on. We have the 10 final properties. So the 5 that we received in May, or we're going to talk about in May, plus these 5. And it would be good to get those done as soon as we can because they are on that timeline for completion. Then we have going back and reviewing all of the old bylaws and bringing them up to speed. Again, based on the training that we've received. We have the another thing that I was going to request of everyone to do when you feel like looking into it is that book that you were given of the Century of Homes. If you wouldn't mind going through that and seeing if there are properties in that book that you would like to bring forward for consideration. And you can cross-check that against the list of properties that are already designated, which is on the town website. And then we have our community outreach that we've been talking about, particularly in terms of acknowledging properties that are already designated, finding a way to, whether we do plaques or whatever we end up doing with that, potentially walking tours, all those things that we've discussed some months ago. And we also then have the outreach to insurance agents and real estate agents around designation and the implications for their industry about that. So lots on our plate. And yes, we can certainly spell those things off because we also have to recognize that when it comes to the stage of actually writing the bylaws, that's a staff responsibility. So predominantly. So, yes, the more time we can allot for that, the better. Okay. Anything else? No?
Through you, Madam Chair, just as an update, we are able to post the recruitment efforts starting tomorrow. We
Okay.
typically look at a three-week opening period, and we can supplement in those videos, whether they be the original ones or whether we look at a new one. And then we can open the application period, thank you, for 3 weeks, which then will allow us to go to council in one of the November iterations of the regular council meetings to fill the vacancy, hopefully November 3rd, so that we can invite a new member to attend the training.
That would be terrific, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So, and in the meantime, if you have anybody in mind, please do reach out.
Okay.
Be interested in talking with them. Okay. There are no media. There's no media, so there will be no media questions. I guess unless there's anything else anybody wants, we are ready to adjourn. Recommendation that our meeting be adjourned. The time is 6:03 p.m. Mover, Trevor, seconder, Anthony, all in favor. Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.